discovery of the Titanic's kitchen did not begin with a shout or a sudden flash of excitement, but with a slow, reverent silence that settled over the dive team like a soft layer of sediment. The descent had been routine at first called Atlantic darkness, drifting snow-like particles, and the steady hum of the submersible's instruments. But somewhere near the midpoint of the ship's break, a new silhouette had appeared on the sonar. It was sharper than the familiar corridors, wider than the pantries, and arranged in a shape none of the returning crew recognized. The lead navigator whispered the word galley, almost afraid it might be nothing more than an illusion, another shadow playing tricks in the abyss. As the vessel's lights swept across the wreckage, the kitchen emerged slowly from the dark, as if waking from a century-long sleep. What they saw first were the iron wrecks bent, corroded, yet unmistakably arranged in careful rows. Then came the faint outlines of ovens, their ribbed mouths gaping open like the jaws of ancient sea creatures. Nearby, shattered tiles lay scattered across the floor, once white and clean, now pale ghosts drifting with the movements of the sea. Every inch of the kitchen carried the weight of unseen stories, a sense of interrupted routine frozen in place. The Titanic's kitchen had been a world of relentless motion before the night it sank. Hundreds of meals were prepared there, each day feeding first-class extravagance and third-class simplicity alike. Now, in the deep silence, that world lingered like a faded photograph. The dive team drifted closer, illuminating a long counter still partially intact. On it lay the remnants of metal ladles, their handles twisted but their bowls still curved, with purpose. A set of brass scales sat nearby, its plates missing but its central spindle stubbornly upright, as though waiting for a chef to return and weigh a final measure of flour. The ocean had not spared the kitchen, yet it had preserved enough to make the space eerily recognizable. A row of stovetops, half buried under a blanket of marine silt, leaned at an awkward angle toward the floor. Their iron frames were mottled with rust and algae, but the shape of each burner remained visible. One diver paused to study a pot fused to the top of a stove, its lid stuck shut by decades of decay. Even sealed, it was strangely evocative, the last pot that might have been used before the ship's unimaginable descent. At the far end of the room, tall metal cabinets stood like a surviving sentinel. The doors were open, either pried apart by water pressure or ripped open during the ship's violent break. Inside were rows of plates porcelain, stamped with the white star line emblem stacked neatly but fractured by time. Some plates were fully intact, their patterns just visible beneath the layers of silt. Others were broken in neat halves, as if snapped by a careful, patient hand rather than the chaos of the sinking dot. In a corner near the broken cabinet, the divers spotted something that brought the entire submersible to a standstill. Lying on its side, half buried, was a large mixing bowl made of hammered copper. Its surface was still faintly reflective, catching the beam of the diver's lights like a soft ember. The bowl had been dented by something heavy, but its curvature remained nearly perfect. For a moment, the team thought they could almost see a ghostly pair of hands polishing it, preparing it for another morning of bread dough and pastry cream. Then came the most haunting discovery of all, a row of baking trays lined up along the floor, each one warped but unmistakable. They had likely fallen from a rack when the ship split, tumbling their way down to rest in a straight line as if set deliberately. By some unseen hand, the divers quietly recorded the scene, knowing that documenting such details meant preserving a part of everyday human life on the Titanic. Something often overshadowed by the grand tragedy. The kitchen revealed more secrets as they explored. On the starboard wall, a section of tiles still clung stubbornly to the metal framing. Though cracked and weathered, the tiles showed faint geometric patterns, suggesting a hint of decorative ambition, even in a working space. Sea urchins had taken residence in the cracks, turning the wall into a blend of human craft and marine reclamation. A cluster of small, silvery fish moved in synchronized arcs near the ceiling beams, their movements sending shimmering reflections across the rusted surfaces. A particularly striking sight sat beneath one of the counters. A wooden crate, its edges softened by time but still holding together. When the submersible's arm gently lifted the lid, it revealed several metal molds used for shaping bread and cakes. Some were crushed, others fused together by corrosion. But the general shape, small domes, rectangles, and rings were still identifiable. The team recorded high-resolution imagery, knowing that these mundane tools carried remarkable emotional weight. They represented the labor and rhythm of crew members who had worked tirelessly, unseen and largely unremembered, to maintain the smooth functioning of the ship. One diver directed the camera toward a far darker corner. It was there that the outlines of a large industrial refrigerator came into view. Its doors were shut tight, held closed by pressure and time. The outer surface was coated in a dark carpet of marine growth, transforming it into a kind of underwater monolith.